Welcome to Corrective Consciousness episode 299, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Fakafon.
And the penultimate challenge.
I was actually going to say this is the penultimate episode.
Ooh, I like pens.
I like Pen Island. But, yeah, no.
I want to join that club. How do you join that club?
But anyway.
The Pen 15 club.
Are you PT? No, but oh man, this is off to a good start. But this is the second to last Corrective Consciousness episode. And,
you might say it's the penultimate one.
Is there one for like the one right before penultimate? Like,
I don't know. Like,
penultimate?
yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised. It makes me think of like secondary, tertiary, quaternary, but like, is there one for 5?
Quintenary?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I could believe it, but I don't know for sure.
Or pentenary? It's one of the two. Quinter, pent. But anyway.
The quinter of our discontent.
Oh my god. This is what happens when you have language nerds.
Yeah, I was going to say like an English major.
Yeah, exactly.
I love puns.
Yeah. Last episode we went over we went over the Die Hard series because in honor of the legacy of Bruce Willis, who is still with us but sick and retiring from acting. But we wanted to have a chance to talk about his other movies that have made a significant impact on pop culture. I guess probably the other major there are 2 major movies that I didn't want to talk about, but
The Kid.
Which one? I did want to give Fakafon an opportunity to talk a little bit about Die Hard as well, because you did bring it up.
I'll go over it very quickly because I'm not sure what you guys talked about, but it's also funny because in French, Die Hard is called Piège de Cristal, which is Crystal Trap, which made a lot of sense. Yep.
Oh, well, that makes sense because it's like Resident Evil, right? I was
actually thinking that. Yeah, it makes pretty good sense for the first iteration and
movie,
slightly less sense with each subsequent release.
Yeah, because like it involves the glass on the ground, right? Or even
and
just
the whole
windows
building,
of the building. Yeah, exactly. So that makes sense actually. But Resident Evil.
Then they had to keep the name, and it's like,
Yep. So maybe in France they'll.
Crystal
the
Trap
seventh
harder.
The 7th movie will be called The Glass Trap: Die Hard.
I wouldn't even be surprised, honestly.
Or Glass Trappier.
Oh no!
Yeah, Glass Trap, Glass Trappier.
Two
Glass
glass
Trap with a vengeance. It doesn't work at all. Actually, Fakafon, does France do that thing with like its absurd title sequels, like in French?
What do you mean?
Like, well, the second movie is
like
called
puns.
Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Like, do you have anything like that?
I don't know in France, but in Canada we usually tend not to.
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
I said in France for the love of God. I mean, and in French, sorry.
It's not as frequent though.
Because like there's Live Free or Die Hard. Like,
the only big movie franchise, a French movie franchise that I know about that isn't really a thing in the United States is like the Taxi franchise.
It's a good one too.
Yeah. We have one Taxi movie and it's really bad.
Was it with Queen Latifah, I think?
Queen Latifah and Jimmy Fallon, yeah.
But we do have The Taxi Driver, which is an iconic movie.
Not
quite related, though.
No, not at all. I think that one is by the guy who did Fifth Element, which what's his name?
Villeneuve?
Luc Besson, was it?
Luc Besson, yeah.
Oh, Luc Besson, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he's very prolific. He's kind of like Takeshi Miike. In that regard,
I don't think anyone is like Takeshi Miike, except for maybe Roger
Corman.
Corman.
Luc Besson puts out a lot of stuff. Maybe not as quickly as Miike.
Takeshi Miike is like
multiple movies per year.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 movies in a year. It's insane.
Oh wow,
yeah.
That's a lot of work.
He and Roger Corman just crank them out.
Yeah, I mean Woody Allen puts out about a movie a year.
And that's already like
That's
insane.
very prolific. Yeah, that's very prolific. It's like the Stephen King of movies.
Oh, I know, for real.
Yeah. But yeah, we are gonna get to of course Luc Besson, because The Fifth Element is one of I think probably the most beloved Bruce Willis movies out there as well.
Yeah.
I do like that movie quite a bit.
I feel like it was a cult movie though, because when it first came out, you didn't really hear much about it. It was kind of like a flop at the theater.
Yeah, it was more of like it was one of those
a
like way
DVD
more
movie.
popular on video and TV movies.
Yeah, I think it showed up a lot on like TBS.
I certainly saw it on TV a bunch.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's really where people started liking it, and then they started buying it on DVD. It was the very first movie I bought on Blu-ray when I got my PlayStation 3.
Oh.
So it was also like tended to be a movie you could get on the cheap, like because it wasn't well known. It has a larger cachet now, but at the time when like Blu-rays were in their infancy, it was still kind of just a movie that people may have heard of, or and that now it has like a kind of a cultural impact. I love that movie, and I think it's one of the best like future like adventure movies that we have. I think it's a
really, good one.
Really good one. Just the way that they combine technology, puppetry. There's like Jim Henson stuff in there, and like it's one of those movies that like will look good in any time, because it just the art direction was just so good. And
that's one thing that helped, is it wasn't trying to emulate other things.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh well, that didn't age well. Like it's just its own thing.
It kind of it has very similar elements to a lot of comics from the French scene, like stuff like Mobius stuff, and stuff that was in Metal Hurlant, which turned into heavy metal in English. So like if you watch like the original heavy metal movie, you can kind of see some stuff that inspired it. It very much feels like a comic book movie. Like there should have been some kind of original work, but it's kind of like inspired by a whole bunch of stuff. It's kind of like The Matrix. If you watch The Matrix for the first time and didn't know anything about it, you probably would assume that it's a comic book movie, even though it isn't. Because like it just seems like it is.
Yeah, it has that kind of vibe.
There's a couple derivations. It's like it's inspired by multiple things, but it's kind of Ghost in the Shell, the movie. Like, I mean, based off of the movie
and
Ghost
the
in the Shell, which was itself a manga,
and the Invisibles and a few other things.
Oh yeah.
But like it's the same way with The Fifth Element. You have a pretty like. What's cool about it is like you only see glimpses of the way that this future is, and they don't explain a lot of it. They didn't tell you how we got there or anything like that. But you have these like gigantic metropolises with like like flying cars in it, and it's kind of a noir beginning. Like the dame like fell into my lap kind of thing, and I'm a down and out taxi driver.
Yeah. Although it's funny because it doesn't have the attitude of a noir movie at all.
Yeah, but it has that type of
setup. It has the setup.
Yeah, it has the setup, and that's on purpose. Like kind of the like I was talking about, like the heavy metal story that inspired it, or partially inspired it, is kind of a noir thing. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. And the Inkle is very, very much kind of inspired it. So it's just like one of those things that like Mobius is the Inkle. It's also by Alejandro Jodorowsky, the guy who did Dune. Like the thing that didn't the version of Dune that
Yeah, I
never
was
got
gonna
made.
say the guy who did Dune. The guy I was gonna say the guy who
He
tried.
didn't
to
do Dune.
He did. He was the El Topo guy.
He's
right?
the El Topo guy. Yeah.
That guy is freaking nuts.
So
He's like a mad genius.
He wrote the Inkle, and Mobius did the art for it. And if you read the Inkle, you'll be like, "Oh man, this is the Fifth Element." I don't know how they got away with it. Yeah, because like it involves a massive blackness trying to swallow up stars.
Yeah, that's pretty on the nose. That was the thing that really surprised me. Where it's like, what did they refer to him as with Gary Oldman? Like Mr. Black is calling or something?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just like that's all it was, though. It was just like
a nothing.
It was just like a force. Yeah,
exactly.
That could call you on the phone.
It's basically the embodiment of evil.
Yeah.
Evil begets evil is one of the things. Like they tried to shoot like missiles at it, and they made it bigger, which is pretty awesome.
I don't know why. When you said that, it just made me think of Earthbound. Like Earthbound, just the last boss being the embodiment of evil as well.
That thing was so fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that this is one of Mila Jokovich's only movies that isn't a Resident Evil movie or a
movie
that
isn't a Paul W.S. Anderson movie.
Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Yeah, exactly. Not Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
Paul W.S. Anderson. Yeah. So like, it's kind of a classic nowadays, like because it has a wonderful sense of humor and the pace is just so damn quick. When you watch this movie, it does not have a dull moment. It just keeps going. It's just, and that's part of what makes it so funny. Is like, it keeps moving along.
Yeah, like, and Bruce Willis' own character is like, there comes a point where he's just kind of like, okay, like he's just going along with whatever's happening.
Yeah, and he's not
he
really
doesn't
the
usually
hero.
take control of the situation. Like he's a good fighter, but he's not like, this is the next destination we need to go to. Like everyone else kind of leads him around.
He's not really the hero, Lilu is, and he's just kind of like the audience surrogate.
He's the conduit,
Yeah. He's really kind of the schmo that gets wrapped up into it, kind of like in the Inkle. Like he's like Lilu is the one with all the powers. like she's the one that is like the perfect human. And she's the one that's going to save the universe. He's just kind of like getting her there.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
I mean, Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Yep.
It also has a fantastic cast. I mean, Gary Oldman is. I think this is fresh off of Dracula.
Zorg.
Yeah. He plays Zorg.
Jean-Baptiste Zorg or something like that.
Gary Oldman plays a fantastic bad guy, and
he's fun.
He's really good as the bad guy in this.
And this is one of those trivia things that it's not like obscure trivia anymore, but it's not one of the more famous ones either. But he's the main villain, and Bruce Willis, while not the hero, is the protagonist.
Yeah.
And they never encounter each other in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Interesting, huh?
Lilu does encounter him, though.
Lilu does, but Bruce Willis, like the closest they ever come is Bruce Willis is like, we gotta get out of here, and like as soon as he walks off camera, Gary Oldman like turns the corner, like just by coincidence, like they just missed each other. That's the closest they ever come to meeting.
Yeah,
and the closest the relationship is in the beginning where Dallas gets, what did we get, like fired or something?
Yeah.
If you look closely at the sheet, like he like incidentally like a several degrees away, but like incidentally works for Zorg.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if you work for the Disney company and it's like saying Walt Disney fired you, like not really, but like, but kind of like Zorg like runs the company and Bruce Willis got fired. Like, oh, that sucks.
You can also kind of assume that he runs a lot of stuff.
He probably does. Yeah, Zorg did not personally fire him, but like he runs the company.
And moving on from that, unless you guys have anything else to add, because
Fakafon, you did want to mention Die Hard though, because we did kind of like skirt around that.
Oh, that's true. Well, I was just gonna say about Die Hard, the first one is it's one of those movies that really did a good job at like making you connect with the hero on a very like not just emotional level but a physical level as well, like the Jackie Chan movies, because he gets hurt for real. Like at the end of the movie, he's not like scratched. He doesn't have like a little bleeding eye or something. He can't walk anymore, like
and he got the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
No, he's messed up.
a lot of modern movies, even like Guardians of the Galaxy or Avengers or everything, they get into huge fights, but at the end they kind of seem like okay with dirt on their face, you know?
Yeah, you never really feel like, oh my god, this guy's gonna die.
Yeah, you never feel like when Captain America gets up, like his arm's not broken, he's fine, you know? Like.
Yep.
Yeah, even at the end of Die Hard, like his wife just goes, "Oh Jesus!" Like what they do to you. Like, ugh.
And I also like that they did a really, really good job at having really stupid characters and really smart characters like coincide with each other. Like the policeman, the guy who first investigates is like, there's nothing here, and then he gets a body dropped on his car. He's like, oh shit, immediately something's wrong. And then the FBI comes in and they're like, all right, cut the power, and they seem so stupid and incompetent, you know?
Yeah. Like especially like when they're like I was in junior high, stupid. Like it's just like Vietnam. I was
like shut the hell up. Yeah. I
Well,
love the great balance they struck with like the. I know it sounds weird, but the level of intelligence of different characters.
Well, we talked about last episode that like one of the surprising things about it is that like it's kind of a subversion of that type of movie at the time. Like they never really gave all of the henchmen like personalities, but in this movie they did.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
every single
have a
one of
few
them like
henchmen
has a
that you know who
personality.
they are instead of 100 generic faceless henchmen.
And we all remember the guy who stole a candy bar from the.
We brought that up too.
Yeah,
he's actually a pretty famous stunt guy. I think he played Genghis Khan in Bill and Ted.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah. He did a few other things too, but yeah, I think he's just like well known for that. But yeah. I love that. It's just like they didn't have to do that. Like he just kind of like grabs a crunch bar. Like he's just like, I'm gonna shoot some people. I might as well have a crunch bar.
Hey, it's tasty. I'm hungry.
Like even the guy who like is the lookout like in the security booth downstairs, like he has a personality like everybody does.
Yes, and it's
pretty amazing.
It works really well too.
Yeah, that first movie's just fantastic. How about Die Hard 2? I know you wanted to say a little bit about that.
Die Hard 2, it's been so long, and like the only thing I remember is when the plane explodes and he's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, we mentioned that. That was cool as hell.
But, yeah, he gets like they have the ejector seat. Yeah.
What I did like about that movie was that they kind of made the scope a bit bigger without like exploding their like it's not like movies where they're like, oh, there's a town and then they go to the moon or in space. It's just like instead of being a building, now it's like like an airport. It's cool. I like that.
That actually would be kind of funny though if they just embrace the schlock and it like they just straight up do Die Hard in space.
Oh my god, can you imagine?
We need.
I mean, they did that with Fast and the Furious recently.
Yeah, that's a riot. But like, but the thing is, the Fast and the Furious movies in general are like winking at the camera like for most of the series. So like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I can't wait until they add Jurassic Park and the Universal monsters to it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
What we have to ride a dinosaur. Like, dinosaurs are made entirely dinosaurs are made of fossil fuels. They run on oil. They're the best cars of all.
We need to go save Jeff Goldblum and use the Tyrannosaurus Rex to eat Dracula.
Yes,
I'd watch that.
And then Dracula vampirizes a T-Rex. Oh man, can you imagine? Oh,
I want a vampire T-Rex flying and turning into millions of bats.
I mean, he doesn't just eat you, he also vampirizes you while he eats you.
Which makes no sense, because it's a T-Rex.
Well, like, the thing is, you're immortal at that point because you're vampirized, so, like, you would be, like, that's a really terrible, like, situation. Like, you just get chomped on
you're
forever.
eaten, man, you're done. Like, like you know what it makes me think of? That one Buffy episode where, like, the Ancient Evil woke up, like, some supremely old vampire who was considered unkillable, but, like... Who said he was unkillable? Like, people like 300 years ago when they fought you with pointy sticks. So, like, they take out a rocket launcher, and he's like, what's that? And they fire it at him, and he just fucking explodes. It's like, yeah, that'll do it.
It's like that episode of Robot Chicken where they they take, like, a wolf, like a werewolf, and they, like, chop him up into little pieces and flush him down the toilet. And it's just like, no, he's still not dead.
No, but I mean, really, like, yes, he is. Fuck off.
It's like you haven't shot him with a a silver bullet yet.
Oh man, speaking of shooting, that scene in Die Hard 2 when he goes like all of these guns are blanks, so and just like shoots towards the cops and they're blanks.
Yeah.
But like, how did he get away with that? He just shot.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
That's
it was
fucking
like,
nuts.
man, okay, you proved your point, but any one of them could have just shot you back immediately.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
Blanks also, as we know, aren't foolproof.
No, they can be
certainly
lethal.
are
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, any other Bruce Willis movies that you particularly remember?
I do.
I mean, this wasn't specifically a Bruce Willis vehicle, but there was Pulp Fiction, of course.
I was going to say Pulp
Yeah,
Fiction,
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. He has probably the most iconic of the vignettes. If you ask me.
What was that rhyme? Like,
Zed's
third
dead,
round, my
baby.
ass goes down, or something like that?
Or Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. I can't believe Pulp Fiction ripped off of the trophy from Lollipop Chainsaw.
But yeah, he is the boxer in Pulp Fiction, and he probably just has probably the most disturbing and iconic scene in the whole movie.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. Well, you know that scene, which of course this is the one you're talking about. What was that place supposed to be, like a pawn shop or something?
It's supposed to be a pawn
like-
shop. Yeah.
like
But
a
you
gun
know
shop
that
or
scene
something?
where he's looking for a weapon?
Yeah.
And it keeps getting crazier. I forgot what the first thing he saw was, but then it was a chainsaw, then it was a
That's
katana.
Yeah.
You know, like that comical pan.
Yeah.
That one shot felt like it should have been a Sam Raimi shot. Like,
Oh,
what do I
yeah.
use? Whip. But like the pan was still funny, but it feels like Sam Raimi would have made that more of a cartoon.
Like I think in Evil Dead they even have like a comical outline where like the chainsaw should be.
That was fucking Looney Tunes.
I
Yeah,
love
where's
that.
the chainsaw? And it's literally a chalk outline on the wall, which the Deadite must have drawn. What? Where is it? And then he turns around
Because
and the
who would
body's
do
wielding
that?
it. Oh my god!
Who
That
put
was
a chalk
both.
outline of their tools.
Yeah, that was both like piss your pants terrifying and like very funny.
He uses that gag in Drag Me to Hell as well.
Sure.
It's really fun.
And also kind of not the chalk outline, but in Spider-Man 2
Yeah,
when Doc Ock is flipping out and everyone's like, what do I do? And that
He has
one guy
the
like,
bonesaw. Yeah.
yeah, the one guy like looks over, whip, like chainsaw, like it's bone saw, but yeah, chainsaw, like grabbing that, like what? Okay.
Like wink at the camera kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Raimi has a lot of nods to his previous works, which I was unaware of for a long time.
Yeah, his Oldsmobile is in every movie.
That I know, but yeah, like
Even The Quick and the Dead.
yeah, that's hysterical. But like Pulp Fiction, man, what a great movie. Oh, by the way, Bruce Willis is a boxer. You never see him box. I don't even think you see him throw a punch.
Nope. Oh, well, he...
Maybe when he's wrestling with Marcellus Wallace for like a second.
Does he?
Yeah.
I don't even think he does. They just...
He
Well,
punches Marcellus Wallace, yeah.
Yeah, he
Okay,
hits him
okay.
with the car, and then they start grappling. But like you don't see him. I guess he
He
does
punch
throw
him.
a punch,
He
but
punches
you
him in
don't
the
see
face
him
and knocks him
box.
out. Yeah.
No,
he
you don't
punches
see him
him.
box at all. Yeah.
Not that you really need to though. He psychs himself up and then cut. Oh, I guess he won.
Oh, he also punches the gimp. But yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, you're right. That was fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like he comes walking in. What? Guess I'll hit this guy. Get the fuck out of here. Can you imagine? Like, I'm sure that guy's doing bad things to Marcellus Wallace. Whoa.
Imagine how confused you'd be if you were watching that on TBS, where that entire thing, like the gimp is cut out of the frame.
And then you watch the Simpsons episode and you don't get it.
But yeah, that was especially like pretty crazy because like this was before the internet, so a lot of people didn't know about that kind of
You see that shit in
subculture.
theaters and you're like,
Yeah, what is this? Yeah, like what is this shit? And
Also,
how
that
does-
guy had a katana. He just had one.
Yeah.
As
In
you
a
do.
pawn shop in the 90s. Well, I guess you could.
And a real one at that. Like it's not.
Yeah,
a
where
fake
did you
one.
get that? This is like pre-anime convention.
Well, what's kind of funny is I feel like they kind of allude to that in Kill Bill. He says, "I pawned my."
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, but
I do kind of like
he does
even
still
though it was,
have it. He does.
even
still
though
have
it was a lie. I was gonna say I do really like though that little bit, like those swords are priceless. Not out here, they ain't. Got me $400 for them, and you could just see Bill like, oh my god, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. But I think he did that as a wink to Pulp Fiction.
He may very well have, because Pawn Shop just has a katana, like, right next to a chainsaw, which also implies, which is pretty funny, like, was that your weapons rack? Because the chainsaw is not a weapon. I know it's famously used as a weapon in a horror movie franchise, but, like, a chainsaw is for
it's just a
wood.
Tool. Yeah, it's a tool. Yeah.
But it's right next to the katana.
Yeah, it's only used as a weapon in that movie and Doom.
Resident Evil. Well, that one too.
Did Resident Evil... I know Resident Evil 4, but...
Yeah, I'm in the game, sorry.
Okay, and in one of the more genuinely horrific death sequences in a game at the time.
Yeah. The chainsaw guys in 5 are pretty nasty, too.
Yeah.
But, getting back to Bruce Willis movies. I wanted to mention something that was kind of unusual about Bruce Willis's career. Maybe, like, a lot of people hadn't heard of this. So, I brought this up at the end of Reactive, but, like, I called him Bruno. He had kind of an alter ego that he went by.
Yeah.
Kind of like Chris Gaines for Garth Brooks. He had a music career off towards the side, and he called himself Bruno during that. And he made just like fun, like, bar room kind of music, have a fun time and have a drink kind of music. Oh. It wasn't bad, pretty good actually. But he like one of his album was like called Return of Bruno or whatever. And so I think that was his like nickname sometimes, that kind of thing. But he made a cartoon show. I don't know if you knew this.
Nope.
A season of a cartoon show called Bruno the Kid, where he voiced a, like, elementary school kid and did not, like, with his man voice, like, he does not sound like a kid at all. And, like, didn't even try to sound like a little kid. Like, he just was, he played a kid part with a man's voice. And, he was a kid who was, like, a secret spy. Yeah.
I have not heard of this.
Yeah, nope. Although you know what I have heard of, though, the greatest role he ever had. Do you know what that is?
Please tell me.
His cameo in the Gorillaz video Stylo.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was the first Gorillaz video I ever saw, where, like, I didn't really follow the Gorillaz, so I'm like, oh, this is cool CG. And then just for no reason, Bruce Willis shows up. Like, this is before I was aware that Gorillaz semi-regularly had, like, cameos from usually musicians, but Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And he's the guy hunting them down with, like, a giant fuck-off, like,
charger
magnum of some kind.
Yeah,
you know what's really funny, though? I never noticed this until I read a comment on YouTube and I looked for it. When Bruce Willis first starts showing up, you know how, like, the Gorillaz become aware of them and are like, oh, fuck, and, like, they start, like, driving away? What's really funny is that 2D, like you can't hear anybody talking because it's a music video, but you can read 2D's lips. Like, he looks at Murdoch and goes, like, it's Bruce, and Murdoch's like, oh, like, do they have a history with this guy?
Well, no,
it's Bruce Willis.
It's Bruce Willis is coming to fuck them up.
Just watch that video. Just go to that part where 2D goes, it's Bruce, and Murdoch's like, shit. Like, it's fantastic. Like, his eyes bug out, like, oh no.
It's a particularly cool video because it's very Mad Max. And
this was in, like, the realistic depictions of Gorillaz, like 3D realism rather than, like, two-dimensional, like, cartoon style.
Yeah,
so
this was
it
in
had, like, a
the
hyper-realistic
Plastic
look.
Beach era. This was, like, during their third album. Yeah, their third album.
And I also like, by the way, when Bruce Willis, like, pulls up next to them and starts to aim, like, in pure desperation, Murdoch, like, frantically rolls up the window, like, that'll do
it. That'll protect you from the bullets.
It's like, well, remember when at MagFest I got you to watch Duck Soup?
Oh yeah.
And they're hiding out in their whatever room, like their hotel room, and, like, a missile just flies through the open window and out the other open window, and then, like, after the second time it does it, Groucho's like, all right, that's it, and he goes over to the window that it came in from and just closes the blinds.
Closes the blinds.
It's like the same shit.
So stupid.
He's like, Bruce Willis is aiming this, like, gun that's, like, bigger than your head at right at Murdoch from point blank, and he's like, ah, and he rolls up the window. It's so good.
You know what that reminds me of? As for a Bruce Willis movie?
Yeah.
I just looked it up because I forgot the name in English. The Whole Nine Yards.
Oh yeah, I like the first one. Yeah, they made that one takes place in French Canada.
Yep.
Yeah. That's actually a plot point.
For those who don't know, it's like a guy. He's a dentist. It's played by Matthew Perry, I think.
From Friends, yeah.
And from Friends. And I think like his wife hires an assassin to kill him, but the assassin thinks he's a cool guy, you know, like that dentist guy. He's chill and everything, so he kind of doesn't want to kill him anymore. Like the whole story revolves around that.
Yeah, like I think he's also supposed to be kind of like a former hitman, and she's just like, oh well, like you used to do this kind of work, kind of thing, you know, like so. It's a fun like comedy.
Yeah.
I like that one quite a bit. Yeah, it was like Manda Pete in that as well. Yeah. I remember that. That was a good one. What else? He also has the two Red movies. A lot of people seem to like the Red movies.
I liked it a lot. Yeah,
based off of comics as well.
Yeah, I like them a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, both of them.
He was also in that meme. Like the movie's kind of become a meme for like, just something about that movie. Just like was. It didn't sell well or something, but like Hudson Hawk.
Oh yeah,
where the running gag is he's like
trying to get a coffee or something.
He could never get that cup of coffee. Yeah, it's like in This is such a stupid comparison to make, but the Super Mario Brothers movie, the live action one,
where
pizza? Dennis Hopper as Bowser, like just waiting for that pizza delivery. Where's the pizza?
Well, at least in that movie, in Hudson Hawk, he actually does finish the movie by drinking an espresso.
Yeah, he finally gets his cup of coffee, but it's like, it just frustrates you the whole movie. Like, time to drink my cup. Uh-oh, something distracting. Like, oh, come on.
I think the first time or the second time, like, someone shoots his cup or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie was a big flop. It was basically his follow-up to Die Hard. It was like the first big movie he was in after Die Hard, and it just wasn't very good. And in fact, the only reason why people kind of know about it these days is because like they played it a lot on Comedy Central because it was a cheap movie to play on cable.
To play, yeah. Didn't they also make a video game out of this?
Yeah, they made an NES game, and it was on the front of Nintendo Power.
Of course.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God! You know what I just remembered? The Fifth Element video game on PlayStation. I don't know if you guys.
Terrible.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever actually played it. I had the chance, the fortune, I guess, to play it a little bit when I was in college because my friend just had like a bunch of obscure games. That's where I found Overblood. And
oh man,
you know what? Good for you, man. Good for you.
that's up there with the reboot video game in terms of quality. Oh god.
It was. Here you go. Go ahead.
I'll do this really quick because I didn't play a lot. The sections where you actually play as Lilu are impossible because she's only close quarters and her hit detection is god awful. So you got to run up to the enemies while they're shooting at you and pray to God you hit. And you got to do that for every single enemy. It's a nightmare.
Actually, I had forgotten about this, but now that you mentioned
Armageddon,
like a Bruce Willis game
for
now that you mentioned a Bruce Willis game for PlayStation 1, remember Apocalypse?
Apocalypse, that's what it was called. Yeah.
I don't remember. No.
Yeah, the main character of that game is like, it's some guy, but it's like the draw is that it's played by Bruce Willis.
Oh, okay.
The game's okay. It's very arcadey. Like I used codes to just get through it because it gets really tedious after a while. But like, it's not a bad title. It's just like, oh, this is the one where you play as Bruce Willis.
It was very weird because that was during a time in which like actors likenesses other than like movie tie-in games were not really used in video games.
Yeah, so, the only one I can think of is like Jean Reno in Onimusha, and that's about it.
Yeah, and that was a lot
Onimusha
later.
3.
Yeah, that was a lot later. Well, Onimusha was always famous for having actors.
Well, I don't know about Onimusha 1, but 2 and 3.
One has an actor.
One does too?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But like 2 and 3 though, they still haven't brought those back, possibly for that reason.
That's true.
But I think it's pretty crazy. I think those are some of his best loved ones. I mean, he's been in so many though.
Yeah.
There's Moonlighting, the TV show that made him famous, with Sybil Shepherd, that even had some like fourth wall breaking going on in it.
There's another movie I can think of, but I can't remember the name for the life of me. Where like, I don't know if it's like his girlfriend or his wife, like her and her friend die and they come back to life, and it's this whole weird thing.
Oh, Death Becomes Her. Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
good. So Death Becomes Her is a comedy where, so it revolves around a potion that makes you eternally, or it stops you from dying, but it also means that you're basically kind of a zombie. Like, like if you get physically hurt, you don't die. So like one of them gets like basically a hole blown through them, and they're still alive, and they have to function like that.
Yes.
One of them straight up breaks their neck, and she has to basically like walk around with a broken neck. Yeah. It's basically like it's a comedy about like two women that are fawning over Bruce Willis's character, and Bruce Willis is a mortician, so it's a very dark comedy. It's really funny.
And I mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast, but there was a movie, I think it was called The Kid, where Bruce Willis is like Mr. Serious businessman who is well-to-do but doesn't really have like a life, and something happens where he meets some guy who may be an angel or whatever, and he like transports him back like several years so he could just see what was going on in history. And it was almost like, I mean, it's not quite the same thing, but it was kind of like a Christmas Carol, where it's like, you could have been married, you could have had a kid, you could have had like probably less money but more of a life. And he's like, so he like tries adjusting his life like once he gets back to that and seeing if he could catch up to the stuff he missed.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah,
it's decent. I actually saw that in theaters, I think.
We're also forgetting the M. Night Shyamalan movies he was in, which were all most of them were pretty good. So he was
The Sixth Sense, of course.
The Sixth Sense, which is the first big M. Night Shyamalan movie, and
that's true.
It's
that
still
was a good one.
a fantastic movie. Yeah,
It really is. Yeah.
But
and Unbreakable.
Unbreakable is probably his best film.
Unbreakable is very good.
Yeah. And that, of course, had 2 sequels, just kind of unknowingly.
Well, it had one obvious sequel.
Was it Glass?
Yes. So Split and then Glass. Yeah, Glass is like the movie where all three. I mean,
Split isn't a sequel. I mean, like,
it's part of the same
it ties
series.
into the universe doesn't make it a sequel.
Yeah, okay, but Glass is a sequel.
Yeah, because otherwise that would be like saying every Marvel Cinematic Universe movie is a sequel, and like I know what you mean, but no.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah,
I gotcha. I definitely recommend. I didn't see Glass, but I saw the other 2, and I actually like Split quite a bit.
Yeah, I heard Split was very good. I only saw Unbreakable, and that was very, very good.
Unbreakable is probably his best movie, even though like Sixth Sense gets all the attention. I mean, like he's been in a lot of stuff. So like we're of course just picking up like Looper's supposed to be pretty decent too. I never
forgot
saw
about that one.
Yeah. With Joseph Gordon-Levitt, that one's supposed to be like surprisingly really good. And Sin City.
My god, I can't believe I forgot about Sin City.
I did forget Sin City, and he was
We've talked about it
first
before,
and last
too.
protagonist.
Yeah, he's one of the like the great main characters of that. I mean, there's several main characters of Sin City because that's kind of its thing. But he's probably the main character of the most prominent of the Sin City comics. Like probably the most well remembered one because of its graphic nature.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's also probably the best story. Just like a very much a noir tale. It's kind of its thing. And oh my god, it's very brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal. It starts off brutal and gets worse.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah. The Sin City movies, both of them are really good. The second one doesn't get any attention, but I really enjoyed that.
I didn't even know there was a second one.
Yeah, it does the other books of Sin City. I mean, there are 7 of them, I believe. 7. 7 of them, and it does the ones that the first one missed, and then there's also a unique vignette that was not in the books that I actually really
cool.
liked. Yeah.
So there's 7 books because obviously the 7 deadly sins, right?
I never thought of it like that. But they're all very similar, so I don't recommend them, like, I don't recommend anybody, like, read them, like, in a row, because, like, you're gonna burn out on them, but, like, they're all very good, but they're all very samey. It's just like, oh, well, this guy has to perform revenge on some scumbag. Like, that's basically the whole thing. So
and that's another thing. Like, I don't think... I think the fact that there are 7 of them is probably just a coincidence. It's just that the city is full of sin and everything fucking sucks.
Yeah. It's run by prostitutes and gangs. And the cops are, like, basically powerless. And if they're not powerless, they're also part of the gangs.
Yes.
And also the politicians are even worse. Which, yeah, awful. But yeah, this is, I think those are pretty much all. Oh, he was also the Rugrats dog.
What?
Oh, whatever.
And also, he was the baby in Look Who's Talking and Look Who's Talking 2.
What?
Yeah, he's the voice of the baby.
Okay. He was in Armageddon as well.
Armageddon and 12 Monkeys. Actually, 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys is great.
Is a pretty great movie. It might be Terry Gilliam's best movie. It's up there. It's up there with Brazil. But yeah, it's really good. But yeah, we should wrap things up here with some fan stuff.
Yes.
Sure, we have a few comments here. So School Filmer says, there's going to be an end to the regular episodes of the podcast? I guess it was inevitable. It's been really fun to listen to while I've been doing other things, and I may re-listen to the previous episodes, especially the Good Bad Movies episode. My imagination was running wild trying to imagine the things said in that episode. And it's been a blast commenting on how I feel about things and stuff. And now, the obvious thing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you indeed.
Yeah.
My road to repentance. I managed to unlock the Mega Blast, and I even managed to unlock the Ace of Spades card, finally. While I hate playing as the Keeper, I did beat Hush, Satan, and the Lamb as him in one run, and Mega Satan and Delirium in another.
Jeez, man.
Beating Mega Satan and Delirium with the Keeper is fucking ridiculous. Like, congratulations.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, Keeper sucks. Just need to do Boss Rush and Greedier as Keeper. Well, the Greedier is the Keeper's best fight, because when you get hurt, you drop coins, and that's health for the Keeper. So you'll have a better chance against him than fucking Delirium. And also the Cracked Crown. Whoever made that achievement must have been cracked. Hey! And then Drummer Guy 33 says, good podcast. Listen to the whole thing. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And Stranga Games says, dang, just caught up listening to the last few episodes because work's been a nightmare. You guys make great listening material. It helps my work days run a lot smoother. I really appreciate all the questions you guys answer and making my day a little better than the last. All the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you
very
so
much.
As well,
Thanks to
Stranga.
all of you.
Yeah, you've been a huge supporter of the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks to all of
And
you.
speaking of which, the question is from Stranga himself. In terms of storytelling in video games, what would you like to see more of? And what do you think is lacking in indie or AAA games?
Okay, well, this one's very obvious for me. I've actually talked about it a little bit in the other podcast, but there's a lot of goofiness that I miss in games nowadays. Just the idea that you can take a story and just get goofy with it, you know? Think about games like Beautiful Joe, Katamari, or even the side quests in like the Yakuza games where they're just like, you know what, fuck it, just, go crazy with them.
Yeah, I was going to mention stuff like, I wasn't thinking Yakuza, but that is definitely true. But yeah, like games where it's really serious, but the side stuff is just stupid, and Yakuza's full of that.
Yeah.
It's
Especially Like a Dragon. God damn.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, I still think one of my favorite examples is in Yakuza 5, where you have to carry, I forgot what it was, like hot ramen or something, to a destination quickly. But like you have to do like 3 different trips, and it's like a little harder each time. And the last trip, you have to cross the street, but it's really icy. and people are slipping and sliding on the street, but you're like, now cross this street, and you turn around, and even though there was no one there before, there's like 100 people just sliding horizontally in front of you, and you're like, what? It's so ridiculous. Everybody's sliding around. It's great.
My favorite is when you're trying to catch the public peeing guy.
Oh yeah, like the first side quest in the game.
Oh, it's just
like, oh, this guy was just like playing his flute. Oh damn, sorry, wrong guy. Yeah.
It's so funny. That and the Pokemon stuff is just
the Pokemon stuff is really on the
With
nose.
the cards?
There's
so
also a guy
funny.
who looks just like Doc Brown in Yakuza 3, 4, and I think 5. There's a guy who looks just like Michael Jackson in Dead Souls, I believe it was. You have to like escort him somewhere and protect him from zombies, and he's like moonwalking and shit. You're like, just fucking go, dude.
Wasn't there like a Steven?
Yeah, I think they actually wrote like he for his text box. He just does that. It's great.
Perfect. I think you can find like a Steven Spielberg lookalike as well.
You are precisely right. It's the same mission.
Oh,
Wow.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I like he is doing a movie scene. You just have to protect him while he's doing a thing. And not Steven Spielberg is the director. It's so stupid.
I guess for me, I think that the like the drip feed lore thing is because it was made popular by Dark Souls has really gotten overblown. I appreciate that kind of storytelling as kind of like something special, but not everything needs to do that.
Well, not only does not everything need to do that,
not everything
but, like,
should do it either.
Yeah, like it's really cool in that if you don't care about cutscenes or story and you just want to play the game, then you can ignore like all of it. But what's obnoxious is that like people like miss the point of why it exists, where they're like, oh, I should be vague because having trouble figuring it out is the fun part. It's like, no, not really. It's the fact that they don't spoon feed it to you is the fun part. Like, you pick it up from the lore, not like it's intentionally difficult.
Also,
like
in Dark Souls, like you're supposed to be dropped into a world that you barely understand, like as a character, and you're kind of just figuring it out as well.
My favorite comparison of this is Silent Hill 2 and Rule of Rose. Probably any Silent Hill game, but Silent Hill 2 most obviously. In Silent Hill 2, it's very similar. Like, the stuff is symbolic of various things. You can understand your character and other characters based on what you see and what the monsters look like and things like that. And when you play the game a second time, you're like, I think I get what's going on here. But in Rule of Rose, you don't really get it. And when you beat the game, if you get the good ending, there's a sort of post-game area where you can walk around the school with no monsters, and you get to see what the things were that inspired them, and there's text that's like, oh, so this is what that was, and it just explains it to you. And it's like, well, if it absolutely has to explain it to you, then it means it wasn't conveyed as effectively as it could have been. In Silent Hill 2, they don't explain it to you, but you can get it.
You can infer. Yeah. I guess I'm just kind of like, some games have gotten better over time. I'm gonna have to admit, like, having something like an Uncharted 4 be available to you, or a Last of Us, where it's as good as a well-written movie, is something that we never really expected in a video game, because was it John what's his name, the Doom guy, not John Romero, the other John, Carmack,
yeah,
said that, like, like, video game stories are like porn. The story doesn't matter, right? Like,
yeah, there's text screens between Doom levels, and you're like, well, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, none of the Doom story matters, which is kind of like been subverted by itself.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of funny. But like, Doom 2016 is just like, no, there's lore, but no, you don't have access to it. Like, stop it. and then it does give it to you, though.
And I have,
Doom 2016, I freaking love that game.
It's one of the best games of all time.
But
so
like,
good.
probably its biggest weakness is, the like utter genius opening scene where there's a screen and it's like, I am Samuel and you are going to need to do, and then you just rip the monitor off and throw it. You're like, fuck you, no cutscenes, play the game. But then every single other time the game stops, but then every single other time the game stops you for exposition, you like have to sit there and take it.
That sucks.
And like, it's not even like, I think they're like integrated into gameplay scenes, so you can't even skip them. So you're like, I have to wait longer than like even what other games allow me to do, really.
But I mean, that's a small complaint on one of the most perfect games ever made.
No, I love that game, but that is definitely like, but like it's also directly contradicting what its
own philosophy. Yeah, its own philosophy. Yeah.
It's like in Duke Nukem 3D power, or not 3D. Duke Nukem Forever. Like, power armor is for pussies, but you have fucking power armor.
Yeah.
So like, okay.
I hate Valve puzzles, but that's a Valve puzzle.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's strange. I was also about to comment, like, I have played some porn games with amazing stories. I have. Like, one of the better stories I've read in, like, recent years was in a porn game. I'll have to show you guys.
Oh.
Sayano Uda, because I keep hearing interesting things.
Yeah, which game?
Man, I think, gosh, what was the name? I have it somewhere on my computer. But yeah, it's like basically like a story it's kind of interesting. You kind of get kidnapped by one of the founders of the cultures of Earth, and they come from space. It's very interesting.
Whoa.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think it's called Adastra. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean, like, I still want more games that are kind of like, the Naughty Dog stuff. Like the Naughty Dog has made some excellent stories, especially with Uncharted and Last of Us. I mean, Uncharted 4 might be like one of the most fun experiences I ever had, because like the dialogue, and the way of conveying, the way that the characters felt towards each other was unlike any video game I had ever played before.
One thing I will say, though, both to contradict but also to add to it, is like The Last of Us 1, I think, handled this in a kind of mediocre manner, but Last of Us 2, Uncharted 4 handled it better, which is, I understand that walking and talking is more smoothly integrated than like a cutscene.
Yeah.
But if you're replaying the game, I don't want to have to walk and talk. Like you know in No More Heroes, where you have to pick up the phone and slowly make your way to the boss while you're being talked to on the cell phone. So I prefer it the way Uncharted 4 does it, and The Last of Us 2, where you're playing the level and you're hearing this shit.
Yeah.
But like having like a long hallway where it's like, well, now I gotta walk and talk. It's like, let me just get to the game.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
Yeah.
Like, it did the same in Half-Life 2, where you just go to a place and like, hey, let me explain some stuff, Gordon. It's like, no, I just want to keep going.
Yeah, that was amazing, because like games never did that, but now like it's like now it's considered a mediocre example of the genre because everything else was inspired by it. It had to exist in order to make games what they are today, but now that it has done that, like, it's like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I don't want to go back to Symphony of the Night, even though that's considered one of the greatest games ever made. It's like, well, I have a better version made by the same guy 20 years later.
Yeah, Bloodstained is really like, if you want to get down to brass tacks, it's Symphony of the Night, but even better. But nobody's ever going to give it credit like that because it didn't revolutionize things.
Yeah.
It's way better than like, Super Metroid, because like it does all those things.
I was going to say that during Reactive, when you said that Super Metroid is like one of the better games of all time, although not everyone's going to mention it. But I was going to say, like, I don't even like it that much. Like, because like it was amazing when it came out, but like everything
extremely
that's ever come after it has been better.
Yeah, it's extremely influential, and that's like one of the things you have to look at in calling something the greatest of all time. You have to look at what happened in its wake.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a difference between greatest of all time versus most influential, or even most nostalgic of all time. Because Super Metroid today is absolutely not the greatest of anything anymore.
You can argue that greatness has to have a like an inspiration component though.
If you want to talk about inspirational, then I wholeheartedly agree. But like, what's your favorite Metroidvania? Like, not Super Metroid by a million miles.
Well, I mean, it's like Street Fighter 2. I mean, well,
the thing with Street Fighter 2 though is it holds up. Like, other games are faster, but Street Fighter 2 is surprisingly balanced across the entire roster, which games today can't get right.
Yeah.
Like, Street Fighter 2 in some ways holds up better than some modern fighters, even though they might like have they're like flashier and they don't like Street Fighter 2 feels a little slow compared to modern games, but like it has balance, which like that's very hard to get right.
And it was the first game
to
pay attention to that too. It was the first game to pay attention to it. Yeah.
Like, you could play as E Honda in Street Fighter 2 and have a good time. Like, who would have thought?
Yeah. No, that's fair. But what I'm trying to say is like, Pong obviously is a very influential game, but you're not going to see it on like the top 10 list even, right? Yeah,
well, that is true. But to be a contrarian again, like, it's just fun. You could just play it.
Yeah.
It's like ice hockey for the Nintendo. Like, I'd rather play that than like Hockey Simulator 2021 or 2022. You know, like, it's just like, turn it on, press up, down, left, and right, and shoot, and like that's the game. Like, that's all I want.
Pong is surprisingly, because of how twitchy it is surprisingly like skill driven.
That's true.
It was twisty knobs, so like you really could be like, whoop, like it's not, you're not beholden to the speed of the analog stick.
That's true.
There is no analog
you could
stick.
just,
it's
like,
how much you twist the knob.
You could just like do it with your head. So it was almost like it's almost mechanical in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you use a potentiometer in order to control it. So I mean, like it basically is.
Oh, okay.
It's insane that like exists.
Yeah. No, it's really crazy. You're basically using a volume knob in order to control.
That's straight up what it is.
Yeah. To control your paddle. But
I just keep picturing in like Star Wars when they turn down the shields, where he turns the knob and you hear like.
But yeah, it's true. It's just like you're lowering the amperage or voltage of whatever circuit that is, and then that's it.
You know what my favorite like quaint example of this kind of thing is one of those games for the Odyssey where you're supposed to guide your little dot through a maze.
Yeah.
But the maze is like an overlay on your TV, so the entire thing is the honor system.
Yeah. No, nobody was. You're gonna get so bored with that.
The Odyssey,
so quickly.
Yeah, like you have to like abide by the rules if you want to have fun. Otherwise, it's like I go to the right and I win.
You were hard up. Like even a pen and paper maze is like way more entertaining than that.
Yeah, because it's an actual like the maze exists.
Yeah, like Jesus. Yeah, but that's what I kind of hope for. I mean, like I think RPGs are like even better than they ever have been. Like they are very emotional. They have very emotional and personal stories now.
Just look at things like Undertale or Deltarune or
even just like there are a lot of indie RPGs and stuff that explore like things like just like as simple as somebody's depression.
There's a few games like that, and Undertale is also successful because, well, it's like what you said last week about Die Hard, how it's like a deconstruction of action movies. Undertale is kind of a deconstruction of like those kinds of RPGs.
Absolutely.
Like you don't want to fight like any monster.
Yeah.
They all have lives.
Yeah, so like video games have actually been getting better as storytelling devices over time. They even, with the sheer amount of like voice acting that you can have in a game, like a Yakuza game has like way more dialogue in it than a movie does.
Yakuza 6 especially, where Yakuza 6 was an experiment where everything was voice acted. Because you know how in Like a Dragon, the cutscenes, obviously, but you know how when you like just talk to a guy, it's a text box?
Yeah.
Yakuza 6 voiced everything. I don't know, like, no wonder they didn't do that again. Like, that must have been a nightmare. Although, if you ever wanted to hear Amon's voice, then there's your chance.
Oh, cool.
I do kind of wish, kind of like you were saying, Fakafon, that there were more stories where the game kind of acknowledged how, like, crazy the world is.
Yeah.
Like Saints Row the Third It like
Yeah.
very much acknowledges what it is. And doesn't even try to make sense of it. Whereas, something like a Grand Theft Auto 5, they had to basically make a character like completely like a psychopath in order for any of the Grand Theft Auto gameplay to make sense in a realistic environment. Which, like it doesn't work. Like if you can just go around and perform like the worst heinous acts of violence and larceny, like it doesn't make sense in a realistic world. Whereas, you have something like Saints Row where they're like, no, the whole world's run by gangs now. Like, it's fun. Like, just have fun. It's just like, it's kind of like in Wanted, like the whole world is run by supervillains, like in the Wanted comic.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the movie it was like what, a league of
assassins.
Assassins.
It's not the same. Yeah, but the movie's good, but it's not. It's not the comic.
It's okay.
I like it.
I was gonna say it's okay. Like, it's all right. I'm not gonna keep coming back to it, but okay.
I mean,
fun.
What other movie do you have curving bullets? Come on.
You know what?
Yeah, I guess you got a point there.
You're right.
And the game has them too, which is actually, that's a pretty cool video game mechanic.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Or mechanic, yeah. Like, I think the only other game I can think of where you can control your bullets was the what was that PS3 game that like was a launch title where you could gyroscope your.
Oh, like Twing Twang. Yeah, Heavenly Sword.
Heavenly Sword. There we go.
Yeah, where you gyro control that girl's like boomerang thing.
It was pretty cool, but it didn't work. It's not that it didn't work well, but this kind of mechanic.
It worked enough, but it's annoying.
It's just sad that this mechanic like never came back in any other game ever.
Well, in the Wanted
Metal Gear
comic,
Solid, the Nikita.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
I know.
In the Wanted comic, the curved bullets wasn't even a thing. They made it completely up for the movie, which is kind of funny.
Cool.
Where did you get the idea from this? Like, why did you want to put this into a movie? And
that
you have
kind of weird.
You even have like a story segment like that is like a major story element that is like like done by one of those curved bullets. It's a thing at the end of the movie. So like, it's just kind of funny. Also, Morgan Freeman's a bad guy. That rarely ever happens.
That
rarely ever.
Morgan from Man.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of, like a game admitting that it's like, part of a goofy, or even just like rolling with it.
Yeah. Like I was going to say Mad Worlds, where the joke is that it's pretty much played straight.
Yeah. Just roll with it. Who cares? Like, this is a weird, crazy world. Who gives a shit? Kind of stuff. You don't have to make everything real. And like Rockstar is getting even more like that with like shrinking horse testicles and like all kinds of stuff.
It's very important.
Yeah, if you don't have that in your game, then why even bother playing?
Yeah, what are you even doing?
Yeah,
I don't get it. All right. Any last minute things here? For the last corrective for Fakafon.
That's true, man. I need to add 10 more minutes to this. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I'd say when it comes to AAA games and indie games, the biggest difference is indie games usually have not that they have
heart.
They have that freedom of just being like, well, I can experiment because I don't have a bunch of shareholders looking down on me like, so are you doing the thing that's going to sell? It's like, okay, Because, I can imagine a lot of AAA developers, they want to get goofy and crazy with their shit, and then their whole company is like, you can't do that. It's like, great.
Yeah, when everything is committee-driven, I think that's part of the problem that, like, Valve has. Like, if you play their last big first one single player game, Portal 2. I mean, I realize that there's Half-Life Alyx, but very, very few people have access to that game. But if you play Portal 2 and you listen to the commentary, like, that game was focus grouped to death. I mean, it turned out like great. Don't get me wrong, but it was so heavily processed that I think they would have a very hard time pumping out a game at all after that. And they have had a hard time because it was so, like, every little bit of it was scrutinized to death before it went out the door. And that must be so annoying. like can you imagine just like, well, you put out one of your comics and every little thing that you drew and had,
you have to show it to the board,
and you had to show it to the board and get every single dialogue box, like every single beat approved. Like, that's insanity. Like, how do you get through anything? Like, I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, Portal 2 is one of the best games of all time, so I think they believe in that, but I think it may have won out despite it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, not because of.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, because there are tons of video games that were made without that process that are really fantastic, and some of them are mostly like the brainchild of one person who didn't have to do that. So some, like, you have like a game like Undertale, like that's a shining example of a game that's basically made by one person and a couple of their like collaborators.
Yeah, one audio guy, one visual woman.
Yeah, but like it's one person's vision essentially, though. It's hard to deny that, right? So like, he didn't have to focus group that. He just did what he wanted. And it meant a lot to a lot of people all over the world. You don't need to focus group every single, like, they talked about like every joke they focus tested.
Yeah, that's infuriating.
To make sure that people across cultures and and backgrounds thought it was funny, and that's insane. It's really stupid. But that's just my thought. But any other final comments here, Fakafon? I want to give you an opportunity to say what you would like.
Man, I don't know. I think I've said what I had to say about this subject.
Yeah,
honestly.
during Reactive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, about the show and all that. But we've absolutely loved your contributions.
I'm really glad.
Yeah. I mean, I love having you on most of all because I feel like we have had such a good rapport with you on the show. You fit right in, and we love having you on. You're a very natural fit with me and Lotus. So just absolutely loved having you every single time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we love your twerking Cybermen.
Oh yeah.
If you ever wonder how Yamcha really died, yeah, being surrounded by twerking Cybermen is what.
That's a good way to go.
But anyway, that is the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions, and we don't have any more that we're this will be the last bit. I mean, I would like to have like an extended fan farewell for the final episode next week, so please put down any final
questions, comments,
anything that you can, anything that you want to say to us for the last week, because we will make a big deal of it, and especially our frequent commenters, and I plan on thanking each of you individually as well. So please have you like, our frequent commenters have actually been kind of almost guest hosts in a way, because you're there's certain people that have been on almost every week in comment form. So like, a lot of the listeners have gotten to know you through
the comments, the questions.
Yeah, exactly. So you have been contributing to the show just as much as the hosts and guest hosts. So please do comment so we can have something to say here. And
leave a comment on how you missed the older episode where Pyro was here.
Yeah,
right.
We will have one last Reactive Consciousness on Tuesday, so please catch us then, and please remember to friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything else.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/lotusprince.
And if you want to comedy board me, you can always follow my comic, kajula.com, and on Patreon as well.
It's a really fantastic project. Please do support both of them. They are fantastic content creators, both of you. So
I'm blushing.
Please do support.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, we will catch on Tuesday then. And for one more week, we will have episode 300 and our ultimate episode.
Wow, this is my last.
Until next time, everyone.
Yeah, this is my last time. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.